Today on ELT Under the Covers podcast, we have an Edutuber OG. His YouTube channel focuses on speaking practice videos, which, and I can attest, work great with young learners and basically any learners of English. He produces an array of English language learning materials that you can find on his website, markkulek.com. Furthermore, he lectures about teaching and English at a couple of universities in Japan. Welcome to the show, Mark Kulek.
Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Rich.
And I really can't emphasize this enough. I've worked with young learners for a while, and your channel is a channel that I've used extensively, and I recommend it to all my other teacher friends as well. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the back in the day, a lot of those kind of like flashcard videos were just that's it, flashcard videos. But your videos actually had them. Vocabulary in structures, and it was so hard to find at that time, and you did it very well, and it wasn't synthetic, it was very natural. So I always push people towards your direction. So I just wanted to fanboy a little bit there.
Appreciate that.
But couldn't you, before we kind of get to the YouTube stuff, do we normally go through like the superhero origin story of you as a teacher? Could you kind of take us back in how you actually got started or got involved with teaching?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. In university, my undergraduate, I was inspired by a teacher. I guess most teachers do that, or most people become teachers by their experience with their own teachers. Mm-hmm. But I never thought of myself as being a teacher, right? So I was inspired to go into literature, and actually all my teachers, I've always enjoyed classroom, like being in the classroom. I never was into homework as a kid, high school, and was never into the homework, but I've always enjoyed the classroom setting. So I've always enjoyed being in the classroom, and actually I got by high school just by, I didn't really do much homework, but I listened really carefully, and I was engaged with the teacher, so that was my excuse to not do the homework. Anyways, so after I graduated, I thought, okay, I will go into business, and so I was in sales. And in the meantime, my sister came to Japan. She went to Japan. And then she was in Japan for a couple years. She came back and she said, "Oh, Japan's great. You would love it." And I go, "Yeah," but it seemed so far away and stuff. And then I had a job I wasn't really into, and so I took up my sister's advice. That was 26 years ago. I came to Japan, got a job, and I've been here ever since. So it was just. I grew up on the beach, so I grew up in Los Angeles, Manhattan Beach. And so I was just like, every summer, just hanging out on the beach, surfing. And it's great, but there was a little part of me thinking, okay, I need to travel or do something different. And so my sister said, go to Japan. And so I did. And so I was kind of just thrown into teaching,
Okay, so you went to Japan with the intention of teaching, or were you like looking
yes,
you're looking or doing something else, or
no. So actually, I thought about, okay, like teaching. I always, like I said, I respected my teachers. I always admired my teachers, and so I thought, okay, this might be a good way to just tip my toes in the water,
right?
Just try it. Not. I could travel and test teaching, see if I enjoy teaching, and I fell in love with it. Right, like the first day, I go, "This is great."
Well, yeah. Perfect. And what was your first position? What got you started? Got your toes wet?
Yeah, so it was it was an adult English conversation school. And how it worked is that the students would buy tickets, so like like let's say one ticket would have 10 lessons or
Oh, okay.
whatever. And so the students are the students would um, just choose what classes or what times, so just they would choose times and teachers. And so it was a maybe really short, like 20-minute lessons.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so 20 or maybe 30-minute lessons, but it was one-on-one. And so,
Oh, okay, okay.
and so yeah, so I would come in, or I had my schedule, and I didn't know who was coming in, right? And
Oh,
so,
really?
yeah, and so it was just like, okay, so the student would say, okay, I want to work on this, or I want to practice this, and so we just do it.
Oh,
And
really?
so it's
So
just
it.
basically just, yeah, there was some structure, but it wasn't structured that much. And so it's just kind of like free conversation. It was a piece of cake, Oh,
So
this
you're
is
like
I'm
some
getting
sort of
paid for this.
chatbot or something like that. They just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
they
this,
come in, plonk down, and be like, "Okay, we're gonna talk about this." And you're like, "All right."
yeah. So it's just they just wanted to speak, that this, and there were adults, and so they just wanted to come in and just speak.
Did you take anything from that? Like when you reflect back, how did that affect you, or how do you think that affected you, or kind of started your mindset with the teaching, or because that's like your first position, right?
That was my first position. I think what that helped actually. It didn't really help like professionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the positive thing was, oh, this is easy and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's say for example, if my first experience was difficult, and crazy, which some people have that experience, right? Maybe they work for a kids school or something. They're just thrown into a kids class and the kids are running around and they're going, this is crazy. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like teaching. But I was like in this adult where they just wanted to talk, and I don't mind talking. And it was fun and easy and the money was good. And so I think not professionally, but just like, hey, I like this doing this. And so it gave me maybe a positive outlook right from the beginning.
It's good. It's good. It's good that you can that you had that, so that can kind of carry through, because a lot of people start off and it's just kind of like a job, a trudge through. But
Yeah, yeah. The thing was, like, I only did it for 5 months because there wasn't any much structure and it was monotonous. So I was at that place for 5 months, and I was looking for a little more like, okay, I want to do more, I want to like challenge myself more. And so then I went into a privately owned small English school where I had first experience teaching kids and adults. And so that was more difficult, and that was more like real teaching than the first job.
oh, you had like structured classes and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
how was that going from these conversations where you're just kind of like sprung onto you to then kind of did you have to plan lessons, or did they have curriculum there?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I had to plan lessons, and there were group lessons. And so that gave me, so then instead of like, and they're like as EFL. So I'm an EFL teacher,
Mm-hmm.
as a foreign language, because here in Japan, um, the first language is Japanese, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so English is a foreign language, and so teach that. That was the time where I had to really think about like teacher talk, right? Where the first job, there wasn't that concern, because it's just me, one-on-one classes,
Mm-hmm.
where you have like a group setting. Now you have to like let the other students talk. You have to like divvy up the time, the speaking
Yep.
time, and you can't just have the teacher talk the whole time, right?
Yep.
So that taught me a lot of things. And the owner, he was an American, and that's when I got into teacher development. He was into it. He was in grad school at the time, and so got into teacher development and joined some organizations here in Japan, and so then that's when I started getting serious about teaching.
Okay, okay. And can you tell us more about the teacher development? Like, because this is this is before our time. What sort of things were you doing back then?
So
Yeah,
we have this.
that's certainly interesting. I especially like to know kind of what were the sort of hot topics in sort of CPD at the time.
Yeah, so it was all like PPP, was it?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God, I forget all the three P's, but like present, produce, and
That's
right. So
it.
just
Yeah.
Present,
and
practice, and produce, isn't it?
yeah, and so basically, um, it's a text, right? And so the students you would like go over the text and then repeat after me, right? And then the students would do it by themselves, and then like some substitution drills, and so
Okay.
pretty structured like that. But it gets kind of boring, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, and so then I started the professional development. Then each month, different presenters would come in,
Oh,
kind of.
wow.
Yeah, and still like that here in Japan. It's called JALT, the Japanese Association of Language Teachers.
Uh-huh.
And the different prefectures here in Japan have chapters. And then there's a yearly big national meeting. And so that was when and then I would present, right? And so if you present, you have to get your presentation together, right? And so I'd be going to presentations, and the presenter would be presenting what they do in their classroom. And so just what's nice about that is you see what other teachers are doing, because here you're in your own kind of bubble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see other teachers, how they teach. And so by doing that, I got, exposure to different techniques
That's great. I mean, that's one of the ways that I've learned most is observing classes, not just, like my fellow language teachers, like native English speakers, teachers, but also the local teachers as well. One of the main things that I learned from like local teachers in whatever given country I was in was classroom management and different discipline styles. And I generally just like teaching styles as well, because I always would try to piggyback onto that, and because sometimes they would be stricter, or they would have certain, like in China they always had this thing where they had students, they would say a set of words and the students would cross their hands, get really straight, and like stand to attention. And I found that if I couldn't say the words correctly, but if I like I asked them what it was. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like stand to attention. I just said it, but I said it with the same sort of tone. And like you get the same sort of response. So yeah.
Just kind of mumble it.
but that's how we learn, and it's one of the reasons why we do a lot of we react videos, is to like help other teachers, but also to like help teachers that aren't in the class to see kind of like how these observations work, and what our comments are about that. Yeah, so were they presentations where it's just kind of like you talk about what you do in the class, or were they actually demonstrations as well?
Yeah, actually Japan, we have a like the EFL teacher. We have some really good teachers here, and we have teachers who are productive teachers. They write textbooks, and so anyways, yeah, and so you would get mostly like hands-on kind of, like as if you're present. I mean, actually, you want to what's the word? You want to create like as close as a situation, real situation as you can. Like good presenters do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so a lot of times the presenters say, okay, we're the students, right? And then and in a way you can kind of feel maybe how the students feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times we don't know how they feel, and so Yeah, and so hands-on. I mean, the best presentations are hands-on for sure,
Good,
because
cool.
you actually like learn something from it, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just they in China and Korea they would actually have us, like all the students. They would bring students in, and you would have to teach students, or you'd have your own students, and all the teachers would come in and observe you, and that was kind of your present time, and you'd talk about it after and stuff. It can be a bit intense if you're a new teacher. So going back to the teaching, you were teaching kids and adults, but I know you more as a kids teacher, and that's what we saw. So I'm presuming it kind of at one point went more towards the kids. Uh,
Yes.
why was that? Was it something?
Because
Yeah, go ahead.
so so my second teaching job was working for the American. I'm American, so I was teaching. I was working for another American at his English school,
Hmm.
and I just mostly I was still doing adults and just had a few kids classes. But in the meantime, around my neighborhood, the mothers would come to my house and say, "Can you teach my kids?"
Okay.
And, and okay, if you get like six together, right? And so they would the mothers would gather up groups of students for me, and and then so like okay, I worked at the school plus, and then after I finished or before I started, I do private classes.
Hmm.
And I just had kind of this natural thing with kids. I had no idea. I got along with them. They liked me, and it just where like the adults, you have to just pull information from them. Sometimes
Hmm.
it was a lot of work to get them to speak, or especially like the older learners, where the kids, they're just like wanting to learn, wanting to speak, right? And
Hmm.
so you just have to like give them a good activity, and the kids will just go with it. And so I actually enjoyed the kids classes more than the adult classes. And then I had all these private classes. I also worked at a part-time at a junior high school and high school at that time.
Hmm.
And then actually my private income plus the high school and junior high school was actually more than my full-time job. And so I said, okay, I don't need it. I don't need this working at the school anymore, right? And so I opened my own school.
Oh, wow, awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And so when I opened my own school, I go, okay, I'm going to focus on kids. And so and then I all of a sudden I was teaching, 90% of my students were kids, and maybe 10% were adults. But I put all my effort, everything into kids.
Okay, so you opened this school, and you'd been doing professional development and everything like that. What was sort of what in your mind was your approach? Like, did you think, well, I've got to buy a whole bunch of textbooks, or did you make your own kind of textbooks? Did you what were your plans with how you're going to structure your lessons in your school?
Okay, so I was using just a at that school working
Uh-huh.
for the American. I used their textbooks,
Right.
and so I just kind of just carried the same material over to
Mhm.
my own school.
Mhm.
But then I went as teacher development, and then I went to a few workshops, and then I got into phonics.
Mm.
And at that time, I got into phonics, and there I started. And because of phonics, you're able. Well, you have to make a lot of your own material. If you're going to teach phonics, you need to make your own material to
Mhm.
to expand it out and make it interesting for the students. And so I got into teaching phonics, and then I started. Okay, I got to make some supplementary materials for the phonics,
Mhm.
and so then I started getting into making my own materials, and then I was doing phonics, and then I got out of phonics again, and then I fair because of the problem with phonics. Um, if student, so you start students, okay, in Japan, we start in April. The school year starts in April.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your students who come in April, and you get on to, your phonics program. But if students want to come in, if they want to join in December or January the next year, they can't really join that class because it takes. Have you taught phonics?
Yeah,
Before?
I think I know where you're going with this. It's because you're building the foundation, so you need to start with like single, the short words
Yeah.
without the
Yeah.
diphthongs, and then you keep
Yeah,
build. You've got to
exactly.
build
Just the
up.
sounds. You go like single sounds, and then you go to the double, and then you go
Yep.
like consonant, vowel, consonant, right?
Yep.
And then that takes time, and if you get into like spelling and right?
Yep.
And then it's so hard to like get new students caught up.
Okay.
And so it was exciting to see the kids be able to do that, right? Start spelling easy words and
Mm-hmm.
and sound out the letters correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But having students come in, and it was like, wow, this is really hard to like, you're in one class and you have mixed abilities, that's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, okay, no more phonics. Or what I did is I kind of just I kind of just shortened the time we spend on phonics in the classroom, and so I started getting into more like patterns and vocabulary, because I was kind of discouraged with phonics about the actual like, okay, my students can spell and they could sound out, but they can't really ask me, they can't really speak.
Right.
They're not
Okay.
learning the conversation. And then I say, okay, there's the optimal. There's a technical, there's the jargon, the optimal, the critical time or critical learning time,
Mm-hmm.
and so the critical learning time is when they're young, right?
Yeah.
And so my idea is thinking, well, when they're in junior high school, they start getting the grammar and the reading. Once here in Japan, once the students reach junior high school, they get all that. So I'm kind of just teaching them ahead of junior high school, where like, okay, I think I could do a better job if I taught them conversation, because they're going to get the reading and the grammar anyways. And if you if at the beginning you start teaching them conversation, that's just going to come natural to them. They're not going to worry about the grammar. They're not going, and then kids, the sound is good. That they don't really even need phonics, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, it's one of the things that Rich and I debate about as well, because I think we even mentioned it in your video that we watched, with going over the sounds and learning the alphabet. It's that they need it, obviously. But on the other hand, like that's maybe what they need more for when they're reading a little bit earlier, and then you kind of the classes that I think, if I remember correctly, you said that video that we watched, it was like you saw that class 3 times in a month or something.
Not even, two or three times, like 20 minutes.
So what if you focus on phonics versus focus on conversation, like just getting them sort of engaged with the language and trying to use it as much, it might have more of a benefit for them, right?
So Neil, that's kind of different structure. What I'm talking about is my afternoon. They meet every week, once a week.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where that video you saw when I was doing the live class, or the morning class, that was a kindergarten. And that was the first year of kindergarten, so they're like 3 years old.
Yeah.
And that's just a 20-minute, it's kind of like a gymnastics. So those kids they have like maybe a gymnastics class, they have, a art class, and they have an English class. And so I go in there for 20 minutes. And so basically the purpose is just for them to have fun,
Yeah.
get exposed to it, and actually it was a good feeder, right? And so so the once, I don't know, twice a year, the mothers would come in and observe,
Hmm.
and a lot, or so the mother, oh, my kid's doing good. I'll put him into the afternoon class, right? And that's the bread and butter, right?
Right.
And or the kids go home, I want to study English, right? Because they had fun.
Hmm.
And so what you saw, and so it was just kind of a taste of English, okay, here's the alphabet, here's some numbers, here's some, some vocabulary,
Hmm.
some songs, kind of just a tossed salad
Yeah.
of English, and so there's no really, like what I did with that class. Each month there was a theme. So I think that lesson that you saw was like that month was like clothing,
Yeah,
right?
it was
And so
clothes.
okay,
Yeah.
so what goes with clothing? Okay, colors and maybe months of the year, because spring we wear short pants and winter we wear long pants, kind of
Hmm.
thing. And so that was my the method behind that, those morning kindergarten classes, just teaching everyone. And so just give them a theme, give them some vocabulary that relates to the theme, find songs that relate to that theme, plus give them some basics, numbers and alphabet sounds. So I was watching your critique. I was going, you're not understanding the whole context.
Yeah,
So anyway.
I think towards the end we got it, but it's one of those things like like when you watch the videos, we don't we don't read the general descriptions. We try and figure out what's going on with the structure and stuff like that, and then I think towards the end we read the description. We're like, oh well, yeah, this is kind of a class to just get students engaged and having a fun experience with English. I don't
Yeah,
think.
it's playtime.
Yeah, I don't think enough is said about that with young learners. Just to get them in class, engaging with English, singing some songs, and having a fun experience. Because a lot of the times that I've come, and especially when the students get a bit older, are a bit jaded because they have these classes that are just sit down. Here's the grammar, conjugations, I am, you are, and it's just draining the life out of them. And when you have these sort of little taster classes, as you say, it gives them a positive outlook on English, and it's something to look forward to. And they can see that learning language can be fun. It doesn't have to be all these kind of rote lesson stuff that they
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. And like the alphabet, they could go home, A, B, C, D, right?
Yeah.
And they go home, and it's kind of just those little songs, are stuck in
Yeah.
their head, and they go home, and that was my purpose, just for them to have fun and go. Hopefully, if they went home with some English, that's just icing on the cake.
Perfect. So,
Yeah.
you moved away from phonics in your school. You started to focus more on patterns and vocabulary. So, did you put together a textbook yourself, or were you using a different textbook, or just your own
Yes,
materials? Yeah.
yes. Yeah, so basically, when I started, I had a supplement phonics,
Hmm.
and as I was supplementing phonics, I started getting into the computer and doing worksheets, and then I felt okay having kind of going back, and then everything kind of recycles, right? And so I'm going back to the PP, the PPP. Um, and so I started getting into vocabulary, and I thought, okay, what can I give, you know, kids? As older we get, it's like it's harder and harder to remember vocabulary the older you get, right? Like,
Hmm.
so my Japanese, I forgot that word in Japanese, right? And so I thought, okay, I want to give my students as much vocabulary as possible, and so you can't just there needs to be context with the vocabulary, right?
Yep.
And so I started developing, um, so like I said, so let's say a theme, right? Let's say clothing. Okay, what patterns do we need to and everything I was trying to do everything to be successful, right? So don't make it too hard. I want everything, every lesson the student should be able to succeed, right? And so I started just making simple patterns, and then just open slots, kind of chunks of language, and just input the vocabulary. So I started making cards that had a pattern and then vocabulary. So one card has the pattern and the other card has the vocabulary. And so we can just it's learning, but that's how we learn vocabulary. You got to be exposed to it over and over again, right? To learn it. And so then I started doing that, and then all of a sudden we had a textbook, but we're not hardly using it. We're using my handouts more than the actual textbook. And so I said, oh, I could just put all these worksheets together, staple them, and you got a textbook. Right? And instead of instead of like having my students buy someone else's materials, buy my own materials, right?
Yeah.
So started like in-house, and this is what really kind of plugged. This is like, I got a couple of textbooks I sell here in Japan, and so these are vocabulary.
Oh, great!
Vocabulary-based conversations, and so you can see right here. So where is my notebook? Here it is, right? And so card, 3 cards. Yeah.
I like this sort of stuff. I mean, this is what I do, and I think it comes to a lot of teachers. It's because people will go through that phase of just doing flashcards, and then they're like, oh, okay, but they can't put them in sentences correctly. So you try to put the patterns and structures along with the flashcards and mix them out. It's great, and it's kind of like a very early kind of Duolingo kind of thing. It reminds me of like that.
What's that, Duolingo?
Duolingo, it's an app for language learners, and what they do is you learn sets of structures, and then you learn lexical sets and stuff like that, and they intermix and flip between them, and students can kind of go through the exercises and try to place them together.
Yeah, the way that they chunk language looks quite similar to the way that you were doing it there, with like kind of a phrase and then interchangeable vocabulary item and then another phrase.
But this is all based on their academic research, though. But Mark's come to this kind of through a process of I guess trial and error, which is great. And so at what point did you go, okay, well, I've turned this into materials, what about turning it into videos, and like then going, hey, maybe I can put those up on YouTube?
Yeah. So it actually all started with YouTube. And so one of the dilemmas I had at my own school would be the parents parents wanting to see the classes, wanting to know what we're doing, right? And so it's all about pleasing the parents, right? So the kids don't really talk to their moms and dads too much about their English class. And so having the mothers come in during the class is disruptive, and all of a sudden it's the dynamics change.
Yeah, a lot, right?
Right. So I want to keep the parents away. Don't come in, but you want them to know what's going on. And I was listening to a podcast, driving home, listening to a podcast. The Khan Institute. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, like Khan Academy. Is that what they're now?
Yeah, that's it. Khan Academy. Yeah. So I was listening. This was 12 years ago or something. And and so at that time I was thinking, okay, how is there? I want to solve that problem of not having the parents come into the classroom, but also having them know what's going on. And I was listening to that podcast, and I go, I could do that, right? And so I when I got home, so I was in the car, I was driving back from school back home, I got home, got onto YouTube, right? This is like 2011. And so YouTube's hardly even being used by people at this time. And I get on, I watch a video, I go, I can do that. And so like I made cards, right? I've been using these cards for, you know, the pattern with the vocabulary. And I go, I can just set up a camera, put the cards, you know, under the, you know, just go over like what we do in the classroom.
Yeah.
And the parents can see what we're doing and the kids can practice at home. And so I made a video. I told my students, hey, go home and watch this. I think I even sent like a little memo to the parents saying, hey, this is what we're doing this month, right? This month we're practicing clothing, and here's a video that we do, and you know, this is the vocabulary and the pattern we're doing in the classroom. And so the parents were watching it, the kids were watching it, and then at this time, YouTube, you know, had no idea about monetization or anything like that. And then I get a email from YouTube saying, hey, we've noticed a couple of your videos have gotten popular. Do you want to monetize? Oh, you can monetize? And so it started from there. Yeah.
Oh.
And so all of a sudden it just started like not only my students watching these, but the world, you know.
How's that for you? Yeah. How's that for you?
YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like that experience of
the best.
The experience of going, well, I was just teaching kids in a classroom in Japan to teaching the whole world, because, you know, every country that I've lived in 5 countries now. Every country that I know that an English teacher and they've taught young kids will have at least come across your videos.
Yeah, so I was doomed. It was like all of a sudden, like my little classroom meant nothing. You know, like I had maybe 100 students, meant nothing. And so all of a sudden, what I mean by doomed, all of a sudden my focus is not, you know, with my school, the focus is, you know, there's a, you know, bigger purpose. I don't know, like you can kind of, I don't know. I mean, I still teach in the classroom, but yeah. So all of a sudden it just changes your perspective. And
yeah, I can imagine that you certainly have other things on your mind, I guess.
Did it influence your teaching in a way, or did it inform your teaching at all? You know, when you went back into the class, did you like do stuff in class where you're like, oh, let me try this out in class and see if it works? And I can put that on YouTube and vice versa.
Yeah, you know, yeah, for sure. It goes, yeah. And so like, it really like, I still need the classroom interaction, right?
Oh.
I think what helped my channel, like my video, is because the purpose is like using the videos in the classroom, right? I mean, I'm not like, my thinking, I don't know, it's weird, you know, like when you're creating anything, let's say it's a painting or if you're writing a novel, whatever you're creating, you know, everyone's different, right? Everyone, you know, like every painter's different, every writer's different. And, you know, it's just the way I go into making my videos, I have that thinking like, okay, who's my audience? And the teacher in the classroom is definitely one of my audience, you know, that's and so I don't know, I can't explain it exactly. It's just like my teaching style, and I think, okay, this is a good idea, or, you know, a lot of times I think I kind of know if a video is going to be popular or not, but I even make a video, I know it won't be popular, but I make it anyways. I don't know.
Why is that?
Makes sense. Because I think, okay, it's necessary for someone, right? Okay,
right.
Like, you know, so maybe it's not going to like be, you know, the general person who watches my videos, right? But I know like, okay, this video is good for, you know, a teacher who is covering this material. Like, okay, this month, let's say in your classroom, you're teaching the months of the year or whatever, I don't know. And this video will help you supplement your own materials.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
because that's how I use YouTube in my classroom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we use a song, right? You're teaching whatever vocabulary, whatever pattern. Oh, this song supplements that, and so the student can do something different, but they're still learning the same vein, right? But they're doing a different activity. So you're just switching activities, right? So okay, here we're gonna open the textbook. We're gonna do this page. That's an activity. Okay, now we're gonna do these card. We're gonna do this card activity, but it's covering your theme. Okay, we're gonna watch a video that's going to cover your theme, right?
Yep.
And so so I know, okay, this video would be good for that. So even though I know, okay, it's not going to get a lot of views, but it's going to help some people.
Perfect. I think one of the things that really helped is your background and what you were doing in the classes. That the whole having the cards with the chunks of language and forms and patterns, and then mixing them out and using different lexi with those. I see that in the actual video, in the videos that you do, and I really can't emphasize that enough, that how important that is, especially with like young learners, because the amount of times that we've watched and observed teachers' classes, and it's just like t-shirt, what is it, t-shirt, and then jeans and pants, and then they wonder how they
no
can't
context.
There's
got to be context in there.
I mean, vocabulary is presented in context, for better understanding. So the YouTube blew up, and it helped solve a lot of problems. It solved the problems of getting parents engaged, but also supplementing your classes. Adding. I presume you could assign videos for homework or for stuff that they can practice at home as well. And like I guess brings us to now. So now you're at a couple of universities part-time, and you're teaching teachers, right?
Oh, so I'm teaching future teachers. So they're university students, but they're it's a teaching university, and so they will be teachers.
Right. Okay. So what's your approach to teaching teachers?
Is it also? Can I ask? Is it are these language teachers or Japanese, like school teachers?
So okay. So the teachers, there's it's hard to explain. So Japan, it's not like the U.S. or maybe U.K. where you kind of just pick and choose what classes you want to take. Where when the students come into the university, they're grouped into groups, and they stay in that group for the 4 years. And so you have so they're going to be math teachers, they're going to be history teachers, they're going to be Japanese teachers, they're going to be English teachers. And so my students are going to be English teachers.
Right. Okay.
Well, they're going to get their general teaching their general GE. So they're going to get they're going to be like maybe elementary school teachers or junior high school teachers, but they're going to have a specialty, right?
Okay.
And so maybe the teachers who have English specialty, they go around to different classrooms in their school.
Right.
So the students are going to have English class with this one teacher, and so whatever her schedule is, she has her homeroom class, but then maybe third period they switch, and so a math teacher comes in.
Okay.
And so they go to different, they kind of switch. So my students are English majors in the education department. So they're going to be, but they're general teachers.
Okay.
So they'll work at elementary schools, junior high schools, or high schools.
So what's your approach then with teaching?
Approach,
yeah. What's your approach with teaching teachers?
Yeah. So I just, So we have
Without
on
giving too many of
Saturdays.
your secrets.
Yeah, no. So on Saturdays,
Uh-huh.
we go to a community center,
Uh-huh.
and we have actual real life English classes.
Oh,
And
okay.
so during the week, well, I prepare, and then I have them practice, and then on Saturday we go in and actually conduct the class.
Right, so they're getting their feet wet straight away, just like you.
Yeah, yeah. And so I do theme, right? So okay, this month we're covering seasons or something like that. And so okay, what vocabulary do we need? What patterns do we need?
Oh,
Right.
okay, okay.
And then they do like a story. We do a story reading. So in Japan, kamishibai.
I'm not
Have
sure.
you heard of kamishibai? So
I've not. Sorry.
it's a traditional Japanese reading,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a big card.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the back there'll be a few sentences, and so instead of like pages, right? You read like a storybook. They're just a sheet of. It's a picture. What's great? It's so great because there's no words. It's a picture.
Okay, so you have to tell the
There,
story of the picture, or
so in the back there is an actual story, but you can do what you want. You can read the sentence, or you can interpret whatever you want. So you
this
have a
sounds
story.
like Jamie Kenny and his authentic materials. You just kind of
Well, I don't know. It's not so authentic because it's an old traditional Japanese storytelling called kamishibai. It's been around for centuries in Japan.
Is this with the where they use the face paint and the
no,
swords, or is
that's kabuki. That's
Oh, right.
theater.
Yeah. No. It's like, and they
I
have
was like,
actually
wow, that would be kind of
and there's a kind of a frame, like let's say picture like a picture frame,
Yeah.
okay? And
Oh.
then the sheets they're like, cardboard, they're heavy duty sheets of paper,
Yeah.
and they go in, let's say, the story, maybe there's 10 sheets,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And then you're looking, and so the students just see a picture. The
Mm-hmm.
students just see a picture, and then in the back, you have the story. Whatever story connects with that picture is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the kids just sit there and just listen and watch,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you could just do what the standard, or you can just screw the word and make your own story. And I have a couple videos of me reading kamishibai.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out.
And so it's really great because you have like these great illustrations, and you have whatever level class you have. If you have like little kids, you can just make it. Oh, there's a white tiger, and he's talking to a brown bear. And then if they're older, so there's no limit to what language you can give them, or like it's all input, right?
Yeah, and
so
I
the students
imagine
are just
you
getting
can
all this
elicit a
input.
lot as well, and be like, oh,
Yeah,
what
so,
do you think's happening?
Yeah, and yeah, you could be as creative as you want. It's great. And so and so that so I have the students do that because that's really great. The kamishibai, because students get great input.
That's really interesting. So, you do the themed, help them go over their English and how to present it to their students, but you're also trying to integrate that with also traditional Japanese teaching and education as well. That's excellent.
Because they know it, right? They know it.
Yeah.
Right? And
Piggyback. They know. That's what I say.
Why reinvent the wheel, right?
Exactly.
And what was I lost my train of thought. Anyway, go on. I had something really good to say, and it just
sorry. Do you do do you do anything else then? Do you do like the I can't remember the name of it. It's like a shadow theater. The guys used to go from town to town, and they would do like kind of like not shadow puppets, but do you do any other kind of traditional Japanese stuff?
Nah, I'm not real good about. I'm not. One thing like I'm not a great singer. So I mean, I love music, and so I do music in my class, but I'm not a great singer. So I try. My voice is real low when we're doing music classes or songs, and so I just do my strengths, and so that's not really one of my strengths. My strength is like actually I like doing the storytelling. I like I like presenting stuff, but no, because I'm not. That's not really. I'm not good at that. So.
Okay. Do you teach them about media as well, like the YouTube and how to create their own materials, like you have done?
With the my university students?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't like. They're not. I don't know. I've never. They know I have my YouTube channel, and sometimes they actually show up on my live stream classes. But no, they're
not
no one's
interested.
Really said, "Hey, Mark, show me how you do it." No.
No, I thought they might try and do their own kind of like anime or manga or something like that.
Yeah, I think like in Japan, the YouTube is mostly like they're more into like just like getting in front of the camera, doing makeup, or I don't know. It's.
Well, it's the home of VTubers as well, isn't it? Do you know about VTubers, Mark?
VTubers.
You not come across that?
You should check that out, Mark.
It's basically been the evolution of sort of the concept of Japanese idols, and now what they are is they have like a 3D like anime avatar, and basically they're talking and playing video games and stuff, and their camera sort of tracks them, and they're represented by this kind of 3D anime avatar, and it is huge. Like it's huge in the West. Like these, like Westerners are mad for this as well, but it's huge. It's massive in Japan.
Okay, actually, I've seen it on TV, Japanese.
Okay.
Actually, Japanese TV. Actually, Japanese TV is now YouTube. Basically, like,
really,
there's no production in Japan. It's all content. It's like, it's real minimal. Like, like they just comment on other YouTube videos. So this is TV. This is national, the broadcast, and you just have like their celebrities commenting on YouTube videos, like like maybe animal videos or kid video, or those videos where people.
Yeah, they're just doing reacts and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're just doing reactions. I go, this is TV. They're just YouTube. And I've seen that
VTubers,
like they do. I've seen that. They're like playing music, and there's an avatar dancing and singing, and there's like someone playing the drums who I don't know. I think I know what you're talking about though, but I personally don't watch that stuff.
So what would be like the core principles that you try to teach to your university students?
So what do you mean? Like what I teach them, or what I want them to
what do you teach them, or what is it that you think's important for you with your experience to impart on them for them to take forward into educating?
So I'm always. So after we do a class on Saturdays, then we have a powwow. Like after the kids have gone, then we stand around in a circle and okay, what'd you think? And we have like an input session. And I'm always emphasizing to them, be yourself, smile, have a nice big voice. Don't be, like a lot of times, like they'll be, shy, or, they're using a small voice. And okay, use a big voice, and and make connections with the students. Look, I'm talking about the elementary school kids, right? So look the elementary school kids in the eye, make contact with the students. And I know, like, during my kindergarten, right, I went around and good job. And
what was all the karate chopping about? You got the thumb on the
karate, it's just like it's this kind of weird thing in Japan. It's a Japanese cultural thing, so it's kind of like, it's not fist bumping, but just like kind of just hit on the head.
Okay.
So it's a thing in Japan, hitting. You're not punching them. You're not. It's just. It's not. It's just it looks violent, but it's just a little tap like that, and it's a connection, right? In Japan they bow, they don't shake hands, right? And so that's the connection there. Like here, the Western, we shake hands. That's our connection, and a lot of times, it's just, and so that's my connection with them. Just like, good job, boom, and so it's not violent at all. It's, when the parents are, they do observation, twice a year that the parents come in and watch the class. And I there's no difference when the parents are there and when they're not there. And also hugging. I heard you guys, we don't touch. I'm a hugger, like the kids want to hug, and, like,
you don't get any pushback from the education for anything with that?
No, it's like, it's natural, like,
to be honest, Mark, I really like that in a way, and I think it's such a shame, like, how things have gone in kind of the cynical West, I suppose. But
we're talking about kindergarten, right? Yeah. Elementary school, we don't do that, but kindergarten, they're like 3 to 6 years old. Hug them. Yeah, that's what they want. They're just. It's natural for them to hug.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, Rich. Go on. Sorry, Rich. What were you saying?
No. It's when you kind of get thrown into, well, any position working with kids, you get the kind of what do they call it? The safeguarding sort of training and everything, right? And it's really, really, it's there wouldn't be any kind of physical contact, really. Even at the summer school where I work, I remember they were like, zero physical contact. And it's like, sometimes, you get kids, they're going home and they're like crying and stuff like that. They're like, oh, teacher, I'm going to miss you and stuff like that. You have to at least give them a side hug, and I just think it's a shame in some ways, isn't it? That
I think, I think you have, like, we know what's right and wrong, right? I mean, come on, like, what to do and what not to do, right? Just, we have that just natural ability as humans, right?
Yeah.
And so at first, right, like, when I first came, it was like kind of weird. I didn't even really before I came to Japan, I really didn't have any connection with kids at all.
Yeah.
Right? Before I came to Japan at 33. And so I didn't have any contact with kids until I came to Japan. And at first, all of a sudden, kids run up to you, right? I'm at the kindergarten, they're like full sprint. They're just running and jumping, right? And so I never made the first initiation, right? They always made the first initiation. So at first it was kind of like, I feel, oh, is anyone watching? And actually, I have a funny story. When we have time for a story,
go ahead.
Like, really, so this is when I was the school I was working for with my second school, and I went to a kindergarten in the morning. Well, no, it's afternoon, and there was like maybe 4 students, and I was by myself, just me and these 4 students, and there's like 3 boys and 1 girl, and they're like maybe 4 years old, 4 or 5. And this one girl started taking all her clothes off. And I go, oh my God, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then she's naked and she's running around the classroom. I go, oh my God, like, what do I do? And the 3 boys are laughing. Right? The other 3 boys are laughing. The girl's running around the classroom naked. And I'm going, oh my God, what'd I do, right? And I'm chasing her. I'm holding her clothes. Get back here, And then finally, like she came back and she got her clothes back on, and it's like no one. I said, "Oh my God!" Once someone just came in
just
the middle of
a
this.
parent just walks in and be like, "What are you doing?"
Man. Oh man! And so
That's
that was
very
like
much
my
like kindergarten cop style situation.
yeah. Right, and I just go, "Oh, these are how kids operate," and so all of a sudden you start learning. The more you're around kids, the more you start learning, and then it's just like, hey, the other teachers are, the homeroom teachers, they're all hugging the kids.
Yeah.
The other teachers are hugging the kids, and if a kid wants a hug, I give him a hug.
Yeah.
And so if they want a hug, give them a hug. You don't just go up and force them, but if they want a hug, give them a hug.
You got to give them what they want. But I'm really glad that you focus on soft skills and building relationships with students. It's it's often very overlooked, especially when you're doing something like the CELTA or the DIP or something like that. It's so focused on the academic side when the core and the foundation is building these relationships with your students. And we had Mark Almond on, and he's very into putting the human first, and personalizing.
Who was it?
Mark Almond. He does a lot of theater and drama techniques in the class, and he says
he was actually he was a drama teacher before he became a language teacher.
Yeah, that's big here in Japan too. Like I've been to a couple drama presentations. Like how use your voice. Like a lot of times, like if you're using your voice from your throat, you could get hoarse, and so like. In the classroom, right? Like you need to have a strong voice, and so drama, that how to use your voice.
Well, I'm just so glad that that you're giving that a focus as well, because it's too often it's the dry academic stuff when really it is building relationships with your students. It's very core to facilitate the learning.
Yeah, I think I've always like created like a safe place, and so like. The students feel safe, and I've always felt like my lessons, I keep the same kind of routine. I'm not saying like but in the first part we do this, and so on the whiteboard, I have a blog. This is my whiteboard, or sharing my whiteboard. It's a blog, and so what I always did, and you can see I have a large whiteboard. Like this wall is wall-to-wall whiteboard. And so, so I always like, let's say the class starts at 10. And so 10 to 10:10. Okay, we're going to like sing a song. Okay, 10, so the whole lesson plan is written on the whiteboard. So students come in, they see what we're going to do, and there's no surprises. And we can like go, I can tell the students, let's jump ahead and let's do this, not second, or let's not do this last, let's do this the second activity, right? And so, but all the whole class can see what we're going to do today. And so they come in, they know what we're going to do, they feel safe, we have a relationship. And so it just seems like, and if they feel safe and they feel relaxed, then, they're going to be able to learn more than if they're like tense and, I
completely agree, and a lot of the research goes along with that, with lowering the affective filter, and you're creating the calm, the safe haven in the storm. But we're gonna have to start wrapping it up now. So what we're gonna do is leave it over to you and tell our viewers, our listeners, any final thoughts that you would like to leave them with in regards to teaching, and also how we can, or how they can contact you or get more information about what you produce, or to get in contact with you.
Okay, yeah, it sounds good. Well, okay, so smiling, you got to smile, right? That's it should be obvious, right? Smile, and create an atmosphere where the students feel relaxed and they want to come to your classroom, right? So you want the students to want to come, look forward to your class. And I think a big help is like write your lesson plan on the board so the students can see and they could actually maybe participate in the lesson planning, right? So you could say, okay, this part is kind of open, right? So we got this plan, we got this plan, we got this plan, but this isn't planned yet. What do you want to do? What should we do in this one? So maybe they get a little more, they have a little more power, empowering their own learning. And yeah, and so just have a fun, we're there to learn, right? You're there to teach, but it can be, have the students, make them feel happy and give them love, right? Love is very important. So give your students love, smile, look them in the eye, and yeah, I don't know.
And how do we get in touch with you?
Okay, I have a YouTube channel. You can just put my name into the YouTube, whatever, what's that called?
We'll put it on the screen, and we'll put it in the description.
Okay, I have a website, markkulek.com, where you could download worksheets and flashcards. And yeah, check out my videos. They work in the classroom.
Thank you very much, and we can't recommend you enough to all the teachers out there. Go check out his materials and his YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. If you're looking for more information from myself, you can go to teamteacherchina.com. We've got a whole bunch of materials, PowerPoints that you can use instantly in the classroom. We've got a Team Teacher China YouTube channel where we have videos teaching you how to use those materials. Team Teacher English, where we put those materials into a video form for self-study. And Team Teacher Baby, where I take my experience as a teacher and put that into parenting.
And go to youtube.com/Professor Rich to see some English teaching. You can catch me weekly live streams on Oxford Online English YouTube channel. Oh, and also you can do a YouTube search for POG space UK, and you would get my alpha version of my new gaming channel, which actually just have some trial content on there at the moment. You can email us here at eltunderthecovers@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to contribute to the show.
Smash that like button, share and subscribe.
And watch 100% of the video and don't click off. Thank you.
Bye.